B'Simanat Hava. Our first Sunday shiur after we come back from the break. Our shiur should be Yun Yishmat, all of Klal Yisrael that was killed in the Tevach of Simchat Torah. Hashem Yinkom Damam. And somebody told me just before I start, it should be Yun Yishmat, that some rabbi said that those people that were killed, anybody who's killed that way, they're not considered dying in Kiddush Hashem. So I said to that person, it's pashut that it's not just Kiddush Hashem. It's like Papos and Lunianos Harugelod. So no, you quote in the name of a big Rav in Eretz Yisrael. It's not considered Kiddush Hashem, because Kiddush Hashem you have to actually say I'm dying on the sake of Kiddush Hashem.
There's a lot of people who say Shema Yisrael.
I heard about that story too. Before they died, they said Shema Yisrael, many of them. But anyways, so where is there a clear source in the poskim that a person who dies just because he's Jewish is called Kiddushei Elyon, and he also all of his avonot are nimchakim? The Rambam in his famous Igeret Teman, he has an Igeret Teman. The Temanim wrote to him that they were being forced to convert to Islam. Should they die in Kiddush Hashem? Is it considered Avodah Zarah? Nah. Anyways, I'm not getting into what he'd answered them, but one of the things he told them, that anybody who dies just because he's Jewish is considered Kadosh Elyon, Kol Avonotav Nimchakim. So if you want a source, it's considered Kiddush Hashem, it's Igeret Teman of the Rambam. That's just one place, but I'm sure there's many more places without getting into the hak, you know? So that's for that. We're going to be continuing our Sha'ar Hagilgulim series. We can't do Torah Da'aba today because we don't have the iPad. So I'm just going to read you one last part in Hagdama Hey. And very interesting part. Da. It's not in your thing. I'm just going to start. All right? Just listen. יש חילוק בין המתגלגל לסיבת תיקון שאר עבירות למתגלגל לסיבת שלא היו לו בנים. There is a difference between there's a couple of kinds of gilgulim. We said this many times. One for a person who didn't finish his mitzvot, one for a person who didn't finish his Talmud Torah, and one for a person who has to suffer some punishment for his averot, because we learned already that Talmidei Chachamim usually don't go to Gehenom because en ur shel Gehenom sholed bahem. Right? Kam v'chomer misalamandra. It's a famous Gemara, Marish Lakish. The Ari HaKadosh says that a person who learns Torah, the fire of Gehenom cannot touch it. It's not shaykh to him Gehenom. So they have to come back in a Gilgul, which is sometimes much worse, because he has to pass through all the Yisurim. Now,
could be a short Gilgul also. Could be short Gilgul.
Could be a short Gilgul. Also, it doesn't, just because he can come back, go to Gehenom, doesn't mean he can come back in an animal, he can't come back in a domim tzomei chayim medaber, it doesn't mean he can't go to kafakela. These things are not ur shel Gehenom. Ur shel Gehenom is one thing, and Gilgulim b'domim tzomei chayim medaber is a separate thing, and kafakela is a totally separate thing. Okay, so Talmidei Chachamim don't go to Gehenom, but the rest of the stuff, it is shaykh to them. Okay? So, and we see this in many stories. It's pashut. But a person who doesn't do mitzvot has to come back in a gilgul, but the Ari HaKadosh makes a very big distinction who comes back in a gilgul for the rest of the mitzvot. Let's say shiluach haken, and a person who comes back because he didn't have kids. That's a category for itself. And that's what the Ari HaKadosh is saying over here right now. And the end of Hagdama, hey.
But if you try, it doesn't count.
Okay, the Ari doesn't go into the details, but we once gave a very long shiur about this. There are 6-7 differences Rabbi Shimon Agassi brings down. If he only had boys, he only had girls. He tried, he couldn't have. He's a Talmid Chacham.
The child is born, he died.
All right. So, of course, it doesn't mean he's Mekayim Pirei Reviyah, right? If he just had boys or girls, or let's say he had kids and they died, and they didn't have descendants, he's not Mekayim Mitzat Pirei Reviyah, but he did his best. What can he do? Happened whatever happened. Like right now in the Tevach of Simchat Torah, whole families were wiped out, right? So obviously there's Cheshbonot Shamayim too. The Rebbe doesn't give us all the details. Okay, we have to deduce from what he's saying, just like we do a lot of times in Halakha, and then the poskim will take right away the Chumrah, right? What do the poskim do when they don't know when the Halakha is not written? Right away they go to Chumrah, almost all the time. So he says a person who lo b'kiyem pirei reviyah כי המתגלגל לסיבת ביטול פרי הרבייה. So look at his lashon. Whoever's מתגלגל because he was mevatel מפרי הרבייה. What's mevatel מפרי הרבייה? I don't like to do diukim. If you want to do diukim, implications, this is a very good place to do a diuk. He was mevatel פרי הרבייה. What's mevatel? He was a patal. He avoided it. Yeah, he didn't want to. אף על פי שיהיה כשמעון בן עזאי, even though if he'll be like שמעון בן עזאי. Who's שמעון בן עזאי? בן עזאי, one of the four who went to the Pardes. שלא הוא צריך להתגלגל על בנים, that he didn't have to come to a Gilgul because he didn't have kids. That means Shimon ben Azai didn't have children. But when he died, he didn't have to come back in a Gilgul. אם כל זה כשהתגלגל איזה פעם באיזה גוף בעת שנולד, לסיבת צורכו לתקן איזה פגם אחר, או שבא להועיל לאחים, וכן אם יבוא בסוד העיבור בחיים כנודע, אי אפשר לו לבוא יחידי אלא משותף עם אחר. What happens is a very interesting difference. Even if you're like Shimon ben Azai, who for some reason, Ari HaKadosh explains much later, Hagdama Yud Aleph, Hagdama Chav Aleph, he didn't have to have kids. He didn't have to have kids. He did it before, maybe he was Mekayim it before, or maybe, as he says inside the Gemara, Yibamot Samech Bet, Samech Gimel, he loved Torah so much, Nafshi Chashka b'Torah. Torah was his like his badzuk. Okay, but even then, a person who's even like he's like Ben Azai, and let's say he would have to come back for a Gilgul. Let's say he didn't do Shiluach Haken. Let's say, right? Or he comes back to a Gilgul not for himself to teach other people Torah. There are people like that too. The Ari HaKadosh teaches us there are some neshamot they just come for other people, like the Ari. Those neshamot, they don't fall in Averot. Huh? Could be Rav Yosef Dayan. I don't like to talk about people in the later generations, but definitely it's possible. Actually, they say Rav Yosef Dayan was an Eitzotz of Ben Azai. I heard that once in a row. Whatever, I don't want to get into that. Don't quote me on that one. But a person who, let's say he has to come back for some reason. He cannot come back alone. He'll have to come down connected with another neshama. Let's say he has to come back in a Yibur, or let's say he comes back in a Guf. But not to have kids. For some other reason he had to come back. To teach other people. Right? Like the Hari, he had to come back to teach other people. In that case, he cannot come back with one neshama inside. His neshama is so weak that he has to come with another neshama that helps him. Because since when he was alive before, he was a plag gufa. He was a half a body, half a neshama, half a soul. When he comes back down here, his neshama cannot handle the avodah, so to speak. And he needs a siyua, a help, from another neshama to help him. Kind of like a double ibur. Like Rav Sheshat, we said he was a Gilgul Kaful, right? I don't even think you guys remember learning that we learned last year. But there are some neshama that are called Gilgul Kaful. They can't come down here alone. They have to come always with another neshama.
They're only the ruach.
Huh?
They're only the ruach.
I don't think we learn a distinction if they're only a ruach.
Why can't they come down? Why can't they come down?
Whatever he said right now?
What? Like Rav Sheshat.
Rav Sheshat. Rav Sheshat was... Gilgul Kaful we learned was what? A person that he's only a nefesh. And let's say he was Baba ben Buta. Baba ben Buta didn't need to come only to fix a very small avera. He was a Chassid Gadol. Every day he used to bring a Korban Hasham Talui. So the Ari says he was the main Gilgul. Rav Sheshat was just there as the Siyua. He was the, exactly. Huh? But all of his mitzvot he was really doing for Baba ben Buta. So I think Baba ben Buta was the Ruach or the Neshama, and Rav Sheshat was just the Nefesh. That's the way Ari HaKadosh explains it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Hagdama Dalet or Gimel. You could check it out over there later. But look what this interesting thing over here. Look at the Avon. Not the Avon. Look at the effect not getting married and having kids does to a person. His soul gets so damaged, weakened, that he cannot come again, and he has to share the body with somebody else. He has to share. He writes over here, no, Rav Sheshat's going to get up on that body. But all the mitzvot that he did, he said, what did he used to say? Chadai nafshi, chadai nafshi. So Ari explains, who is he saying? Why was he saying chadai nafshi? My nefesh, or my neshama, which is Baba ben Buta, really, he's going to get all the avodah that I did. I'm only a nefesh. Right? I don't want to get into that. But look what he says here. V'zeh nikra gilgul kaful. it's possible that's also called a Gilgul Kaful, which obvious. Right? That's why he brought it up. Vezeu mitgalgel, and this is obviously if he doesn't come to be born through Yibum. But I just wanted to make that point. The effect of not having children does to a person. Right? Now we could start Hagdama Vav. Wow. They say, wow. B'inyan nishamot hadashot, regarding new nishamot. Soon we're going to be able to bring down new nishamot again. Right? Mashiach is coming.
Amen.
Russia just sent warships too, also to the thing, to the Red Sea. I don't know where he sent it to, huh? China, Russia. Yeah, they're all playing a game of poker. It's all a game of poker. It says in the Navi, why is Hashem doing this? He gathers everybody to Yerushalayim. Then everybody in one shot, in one shot, boom, he takes care of everybody. Instead of having, huh? For Zocher. One rabbi said, stop crying, guys. This, that. Say Tehillim b'simcha. Soon you're going to see plaot. I hope so. I hope we don't miss this opportunity. How are we going to miss it? It's going to be a big midat hadin. And they're going to say they're still not worthy. And it's going to be big balagan. Then again, ceasefire, shmisfire. Huh?
What can we do to be worthy?
What can we do? Yes. We have to la'asok b'torah gimilut chasadim. In the name of Rabbi Moshe Prague, that sefer that you gave me, Baal Vayakel Moshe, he said it all depends on how much effort we put in Solot Torah. It all depends on that, he says, and that depends on how clean your brit is. Chidush, not really chidush, but nice. Okay, let's do Hagdama Vav Binyan Nishamot Hadashot. What is a neshama chadasha? What's a neshama yishana? What's an old neshama? Like we learned in Sha'ar mitzvot regarding shiluach haken. And what is the shorish haneshamot meichan etchila? Where did the shorish neshamot begin to begin with? Beinyan neshamot ada should know ki kaasher nivru kol olamot va'afilu olam ha'atzilut. When all the worlds and all the realms were created, nithava betchila besod zivuk ach be'ach. First, all the worlds were considered ach be'ach. What's ach be'ach? Ach, we know there's 5 systems. Yud Kei Vav Kei with the quotes of the Yod. Also could be seen as Arich, Abba, Ve'ima, Zayin, right? So we always talk about the 4th and 5th system. So just Lamashal. So Za, there's a partzuf called Za. And there's a partzuf called, that's the 5th partzuf, right? The Vav Kei of Shem Havaya, right? The Shechina, the Nukva, right? Malchut. So every partzuf, everything in the world has a panim, has a achor, has a front, and has a back, right? We're not 4D, we're 3D. We have a panim, we have an achor. If we were 4D, we could see from all the dimensions. Right? Huh? Like the luchot. Like the luchot. So it says, when Hashem created the world, first He created the world there, achor ba'achor, or ach ba'ach, which means the panim of Za and the panim of the Nukva are facing away from each other, just like the Kruvim. Like Adam, exactly. That's why Adam and Chala were also created ach ba'ach. Right? Just like the worlds were created ach ba'ach, since we're just a copy of the Tselem Elokim. So therefore, we were also created ach ba'ach. So the panim of the Nukva is facing this way, and the panim of Za is facing that way. And what are they connected by? They're connected over here in their achor. That's called achor be'achor, back to back. Okay? Our job, in a nutshell, is to disconnect it, bring it face to face, and create a zivug. Right? And how do you do that? Through the shofar. And the shofar, it begins, and at Simchat Torah is the zivug. So now you can understand where the Midat Hadin comes from this year. There was no Nesira on the first day. There was, but not Al Yadeinu. So that means it had to be done through Dinim Kashim. Because when we see, why did Hashem give us the mitzvot? The avodah gets done anyway. It says Leshem Shova Acham. Everything, the world keeps on going. But when we do it through our Torah and mitzvot, it happens through our avodah, through Rahamim. When we don't do the avodah, then it has to come with a price. So therefore, we didn't have the shofar, and on the day of the Moshiv HaRuach, whatever happened, happened. Okay? So just to understand a little bit of the Midat Hadin, how it works. Continuing, then from the time that Adam was created, on the 6th day of creation, עד ביאת משיח צדקנו, התיקון נעשה מאז ואילך הוא לאותם הנשמות, שאז נתהוו בבחינת אח באח, שיהיו עתה חדשות יוצאות מזיווג פנים בפנים. Right. לפי שאחר שנתהוו בתחילת מאחור באחור, ירדו עם גלות השכינה למטה בתוך הקהלי, כאשר איזה צדיק מכוון איזה כוונה גמורה טובה, יכול להמשיך על ידי כוונתו ההוא איזה נשמה חדשה. Okay? What is he saying? All of our neshamot are created, are called neshamot of achor ba'achor. Throughout this whole 6,000 years, all the neshamot are considered neshamot of ach ba'achar. There's no zivug. They're not, the partsufim are facing away from each other. So this is all a mashal, right? We say it's facing away from each other. The partsuf, there's no body over there. There's no letters. There's no lights. It's all a mashal. It's all whatever it is, right? So in the Kabbalistic terms, there is such a thing as a zivug when it's achor ba'achor. There is such a thing. Oh. We can't understand it because look at human beings. We can't have a zivug achor ba'achor. We need to be facing each other. But for example, even panim ba'achor, facing, you're the panim, you're looking at the achor of the nukva. There is such a thing, right? Is that asur according to halacha? It's asur, right? Because the olamot says it's allowed. The olamot. Well, we're here learning Ariya Kadosh. We're not talking about the Rambam. Rambam said many things. The Ariya Kadosh. Why how come it's asur? Because if you do that, the way you act down here, that's what you're doing to your shorashim over there. So if you do that, you're causing your shorash to also litapech over there. And the nishamot that will be created in that instant will also have that deficiency in it. It will be
You're not allowed to do what?
Panim ba'achor. Let's say a person wants to have a zivug with his wife, panim ba'achor. She's facing that way and he's facing her back, right? It's asur lefi halacha, right? Shulchan Aruch says it's asur. Has to be panim bepanim. What's the sod behind it? The way you have the zivug panim bepanim, you're also going to cause a neshama that's going to come out of that zivug in your shorashim also to come out panim bepanim, and it's going to come out through kedusha. Right? But if you do now, we can't understand what's achor ba'achor. Is there a creature in the world that could have a zivug achor ba'achor? Probably there is 1-2 species that it's possible. Right? There's even species out there where the male gets pregnant. Right? Seahorses. You know that the male carries the child. There's different kinds of, there's many weird things out there in the world. But human beings, the male carries the baby.
The man gets from the wife?
Yeah. He doesn't, I don't know exactly how it works. I'm not a zoologist. But that's what I remember learning. I'm just letting you know, there's many different kinds of creatures out there in the world. For example, all animals, they all have a zivug panim ba'achor. Right? They don't have zivug panim ba'panim. Only human beings have that. You ever seen an animal do it panim ba'panim? Everything is panim ba'achor. Because all the animals don't come from the same kedusha as human beings. Right? And all the goyim, do they have such a thing as kedusha in the bedroom? They don't have such a kind of thing. If they stick to one person, it's halava. Right? They do, but for them, it's boring. They always want to do something new, therefore, because their shorish is all be'er buviyah. Everything is from the klipat noga. Says Rabbi Yehuda Aftaya, goyim don't have Gan Eden. There's such thing as Gan Eden. Their Gan Eden is a hechal of the klipa.
What do they have over there?
It's a hechal like this world. All physical pleasure, closer to physicality. Klal Yisrael doesn't have it. They have a Gan Eden, a mamish Gan Eden, something that it's hard to fathom. But we do know from different stories that it has to do with learning Torah and Meziva Shechina. Okay, I don't want to get to my point. What is he saying over here? That all the nishamot that are in this 6,000 years, they all come from a zivug of achor ba'achor. What does that mean? We can't understand that right now. I could explain it to you a bit deeper, but for now, this is it. Just know the worlds were bebchinat ach ba'ach. Okay? And what happens? What's our job, he says, in these 6,000 years? Our job is that those nishamot, we have to bring them down to this world through a zivug of panim bepanim, with our spouses. You understand? So all the nishamot of these 6,000 years are created ach ba'ach, and when we have a zivug with our wives, we take those nishamot out and bring them down to this world through panim bepanim. Understood? So we're completing the creation. Hashem could have created them ach ba'ach and then made them panim bepanim, right? And then the neshamot would come out bezivug tov, right? What will be our job in this world? Because this is basically all of the mitzvot is to do that. So basically, all of our mitzvot is really purei reviyah, right? So what would we have done if Hashem would have created the world panim bepanim? What would have been our job in this world? Now you understand why the moon complained to Hashem. It's all a mashal. The Shekhinah said to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, you created this midah of me. You already created me on the 4th day. And I'm already the same size as the sun, as Zah. If Adam will be created now, in one small avodah that he'll do, all the worlds will be panim bepanim. Then what's going to be their avodah? So Hashem said, oh, you're right. You have a good point. So you make yourself smaller, go back to Bechinah of the first day of creation, which was Achor Ba'achor. So what did the moon say to Hashem? Because I said something logical. I have to get punished? So Hashem said, okay, don't worry, I'll throw you a bone. On Rosh Chodesh, I'll bring you back to a stage of Panim Bepanim. That's what the real Midrash means. The Shekhinah was correct. If we're already in the same level, then the worlds are mitukanim. Correct? So it's a very big depth what was going on in that conversation between Hashem and the sun and the moon.
The sun didn't say anything.
Huh? The sun didn't say anything. He's Zah. Zah doesn't talk. Men stay quiet. Rosh gadol, pe katan. Women are pe gadol, rosh katan. Right? So it's very. So you understand the concept of the creation of Peri over here, to take those nishamot that are achor ba'achor and bring them back panim bepanim. That's our avodah. So what's going to be the chidush of Mashiach? If we're really waiting for him, Mashiach has to bring us a chidush to this world. What's going to be his chidush? Now that we finished the nishamot of, what does that mean? En ben David ba ad sheichlu kol nishamot shebaguf. Which nishamot? If all the nishamot are done, then who's going to be born during Mashiach's time and Olam Haba's time? All the nishamot of achor ba'achor will be done. When Mashiach comes, it's going to be only nishamot hadashot legamri. Legamri hadashot. Right?
What's going to be the mission?
So Mashiach will have to teach us. He has to bring us to a new level, where the panim bepanim will be also be'erech, the new mission, achor ba'achor. Yechasid, be'erech. Right? Exactly. There was going to be an aliyat olamot, and now the panim bepanim are also going to be. Now, that's why Mashiach's era is very short. The era of Mashiach is very small. Why? Because the main avodah, Rabbi Nari teaches, is in the achor ba'achor. The hard stuff is in the achor ba'achor. The panim bepanim is easy. Let's talk. Right? Achor ba'achor is where the klipa is, and there's achiza, and there's a yinika, and you have to fight, you need to be mechaleh kotzim min hakerem. Right? So what does Ari say over here? How do we take out those nishamot? So they're in the klipa, he writes, right? Yardu im galut shechina lemata. But when the tzaddik does a kavanah, look what he says over here, a kavanah. Bekavanato, a kavanah and tefillah, a yichud, gimlut chasadim, a talmud Torah, but his kavanah. Gemura, a complete kavanah, tova, that's good. Yechol la'amshich al yedei kavanato. He is able to retrieve these nishamot through kavanato. Eize nishama chadasha. Right? What does that mean, as a nishama chadasha? Perush, הנשמה שבתוך הקליפה תתעלה משם ולמעלה בסוד חדשים לבקרים רבה אמונתך ושם תתחדש. It's an old nishama because it was already in the sin of Adam HaRishon. So why are we calling it chadash? When the nishamot fell into the klipa, in the sin of Adam HaRishon, when the neshamot fell, we call that they fell into what we call a mador klipat noga, kali noga, which is etzadat tovara, right? It has good and bad in there, right? So there's neshamot inside here. All the neshamot, the goof of the klipa. When he takes it, these are neshamot yeshanot. But when the tzaddik with his kavanah, his Talmud Torah, chesed, does something, let's say he's able to mevarer one neshama, he picks it up, and if his kavanah is gemura, complete v'torah, he brings it up to the malchut da'atzilut, right? Da'atzilut. And over there, it's like a laundry machine, lahavdil, for the mashal. And over there, the neshama goes in and mitna'eret from all the garbage and filth that it was in, for how long, who knows how long it was there for. And when it comes out, it's like a new being.
It's when you go to sleep. That's what.
What happens when we sleep, if you're zochet to go to Mechut, it happens in a very small way. And neshama being born completely, it's of course, it's more of a, chadashim. That's why it's called chadashim, the bekarim rabba emunatecha, the new, it's a pasuk. חדשים ושם תתחדש, ואחר כך תרד משם בעולם הזה מבחינת פנים בפנים, and בעזרת השם ירח somebody's going to have a זיווג, and the neshama comes out פנים בפנים, ועתה אם תבריאתם נקראים חדשות. And now that they're the first time in this world, in some way יחסית it's called חדש. Right? ואלו נשמות מוכנות שלא לחטוא כשאר הנשמות. And these neshamot that are brought down in such a way completely, that means through zivug panim b'panim, that tzaddik was mevarer the neshama, and it was mitnakeh inside the malchut ha'atzilut, hem mukhanot lo lachto. It's not easy to make them fall in averot, these neshamot.
Is that considered a new neshama?
Yachasit is considered a new neshama. That means it was brought down in such a process that it's able to be mitnaer.
It's like a new neshama.
Yeah, it's like a neshama. It's like, in a sense that since he got clean, all the reason why we fall into the averot is because we still have a little bit of the cholaim, the sicknesses and the diseases, and when we were inside the klipat noga. All through our zechut, when we go up to malchut ha'atzidut, the longer we're there, the cleaner we get. And when we come down here, we detest the satan. Because the neshama detests the averot. He hates the averot. It's disgusting, the averot. The reason why you like certain averot is because you weren't able to be cleaned in the malchut ha'atzidut long enough to be considered totally hadash. And the same process happens also in a small aspect every night when you go to sleep. The more you're mitnakeh, the more you wake up, chadashim lebikar. The less you're mitnakeh, when you wake up in the morning, you feel heavier and you still want to do averot and you still have, Shalom, that connection to that. Alright? But what's the point over here, says Dari? Let's not miss the whole point. The point is that the neshamot in these 6,000 years are considered from a zivug of achor ba'achor. It's our job to bring them down here, panim bepanim. That's what all the big tzaddikim say. They once asked Dayanuka, Rav Shlomo, yeah? Shlomo Be'eri. They asked him, when a person's dealing with kiruv and shalom bayit, what's the first thing? What do you put a dagesh on? He said mikveh. Mikveh tahara for nashim. It has to be done b'tahara. When the zivug is done b'tahara, panim b'panim, of course, so the neshamot come down, have a much easier time fighting off the yesara. Much easier time. And of course, you want to put the child in the correct environment. Achda says, look what he says here. And over here comes all the misconception after the time of Chorban Beit HaMikdash. There's no new neshamot, right? Those people never learn Sha'ar Hagilgulim. Achda, ki en banu koach b'chol hazman hazeh rak lamshich elu neshamot chadashot otam shehem min biha. You could bring new neshamot these days. But when Adam Harishon was alive, right?
You're supposed to think of Shemot while you're doing that.
It's a big machloket. Are you allowed to think this, that? Could you think of tzaddikim? It's enough to be makav in the time of the night and to say L'Shem Yichud before you go.
Should we think of different things?
A person should have the kavanah to be mekayim the mitzvah.
What should he?
Huh?
Should you think?
I'm right now mekayim mitzvah. Your kavanah should be to.
Should I think that I don't have any pleasure by doing it?
I don't want to get into that. I have my own opinion in this. All right. Some people might tell you something else. I have my own opinion regarding this.
think it's pleasure for Hashem.
Listen, a person has to know that when he's going inside to do zivug with his wife, that his main focus should be making her have the mitzvat ona, right? If you're thinking to yourself right now, like Rabbi Eliezer Agadol, nichnas k'moshed ve'yotzeh k'moshed, then it's very hard to cause the Shalom Bait. So first things first, you have to be able to master the fact that you're doing for her the mitzvah, and making her mekayim mitzvah. When I was speaking to somebody today, and I really hate dealing with Shalom Bait cases and stuff like that. But anyway, somebody was talking to me, and the woman was saying that listen, my husband doesn't give me attention. They openly say
Doesn't give attention.
doesn't give attention, doesn't buy me gifts, doesn't take me out, doesn't say how I look, doesn't say this. Not young people, older people. And it's a very big problem because sometimes we get in our own head, religious. We get in our own head and we think we're the Baba Salis, but you don't understand that you're a Ben Adam and you live with another Ben Adam, and you have to make sure to take care of that Ben Adam. So Ona is the same thing. When you're going inside to the Ona, you have to have kavanah, you kind of mitzvah Ona. I want to make sure she enjoys herself. You're going to enjoy yourself anyway. It's not there's no pshat over there, right? So let's see what the Ari says about what he just said. So Adam Arishon, right? Right? So we have the Gar, Chagat, and Nahi, yeah? Gar, Chagat, Nahi, the Garon, right? What's the Garon? The Garon is Ma'avar Yabok. Ma'avar Yabok. The Garon, very important, the Garon. Also in Kavanot. The Garon is the first place where the mituk happens. In your head, you have Mochin de Katnut. A person doesn't become mature in a day, he grows up. All the Mochin that were down here go down. What's the first place that goes down for the mituk? In the Garon. The Garon is very important. Beit HaMikdash is also called the Garon, right? Like it says by Yosef and Binyamin, Vayefk, and he cried on the neck of Binyamin. Right? Chorban Beit Rishon, Chorban Beit Sheni. So, just like he has Gar Chagat Nahi, that's also considered Atzilut, Biriya, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. So, in every section of Abiyah, there is Neshamot from Atzilut, from Biriya, from Yetzirah, and Asiyah. Okay? In all these sections, you have Neshamot Chadashot and Neshamot Yeshanot. To bring down Neshamot Yeshanot is not a problem. Now, in our days, Bizman Hazeh, Ki ein banu koch bechol hazman hazeh, in our time, you could only bring Neshamot Chadashot from Bria. There's Neshamot Chadashot from Bria, Chadashot from Yitzirah, Chadashot from Asiyah. You cannot bring Neshamot Chadashot from Atzilut. That you need a Beit HaMikdash for. But you could bring down Neshamot Chadashot from Bria. Okay? And he's going to explain to us when and how. Shem Sod Neshama Ruach V'Nefesh, and Bia is also called Neshama Ruach V'Nefesh. Aval La'atid Lavo Achar Tchiyat HaMetim, in the future after Tchiyat HaMetim, not after the Beis HaMikdash, he says over here. Over here is going with a different Shita. Yavo, how do we make sense of the Shita, by the way? One place he says after Binyan Beit HaMikdash. Another place he says after the Tchiyah. How do you make sense?
What's Tchiyah?
Tchiyah is Tchiyat HaMetim. What do you say? Simple. According to the Ari, he holds like the Zohar, the Tchiyah is going to happen very quickly after the Binyan Beit HaMikdash. The Tchiyah is going to be in stages.
I thought Tchiyah happens first and then Beit HaMikdash.
No, afuch. Everyone always says Beit HaMikdash is first. The only question is it Beit HaMikdash happen? And then the whole era of Mashiach will be done, and then there's going to be Tchiyat HaMetim, or Tchiyat HaMetim is going to happen within the era of Mashiach.
People going to die after Tchiyat HaMetim?
After Tchiyat, whoever is going to be in Tchiyat HaMetim, that's it, he's done.
Afterwards, people going to die?
We don't know exactly what's going to happen, I'm assuming not.
Life goes on regular, no?
I mean Mashiach's time.
When is Tchiyat HaMetim?
So that's the thing. So I'm saying we could see from this Ari that maybe we say that Tchiyah is going to, like the Lashon Shov Achlama says, happens in stages. And the Tchiyah is going to happen within the Binyan Beit HaMikdash, in stages. First, the big tzaddikim are going to get up.
And then people are going to die.
Exactly. Those who got up, they're already B'Bchinat Olam Haba. The Lashon Shov Achlama says it can't be the Tchiyah's goal going to happen in one shot. The world cannot handle such a shock. It's going to happen in stages.
Some people are going to wake up.
First of all, not everybody's waking up, correct? All right?
So first of all, like, some people are going to wake up and then...
All right, first the Avot are going to wake up. The Shiva Roim. Mashiach needs a cabinet. He's not going to have Bibi Netanyahu or Joe Biden joining him in his war room. He's going to have the Avot. The Avot are going to be his Secretary of State, his Prime Minister, his Vice President.
Adam is also one of those.
Adam is one of the Shmona Nesichei Adam, the 8 princes of men. There's 7 Roim and 8 princes.
So the Ruim are higher?
The Roim are, we say, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron. There are 2 versions of what's the Roim. The Gemara seems to say a different version, and the Zohar says is the one we famously we say. Shiva Roim is Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. But the Gemara has a little bit of a different interpretation. What's the Shiva Roim? All right, but the Shiva Roim. In that same Gemara, it says over there explicitly that Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die during Gog Magog. And then Hashem is going to ask Mashiach ben David, what do you want? He's going to say Chaim. So he said, before you even ask for Chaim, already your great-grandfather asked for it for you. Chaim Sha'ar mimcha natata lo orech chaim olam vayit. So what does that mean? David already asked in Tehillim Chaim for Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef is not a descendant of Yosef HaTzadik.
So he's not going to die.
He will die.
Not a descendant?
But the Zohar says in Tikkunei Zohar he's not going to die at the end.
He's not a descendant of Yosef HaTzadik?
No. Mashiach ben Yosef is the person who has the Nishmat Yosef.
Descendants meaning...
Descendant means a Zera, like father after son, not after son. Because we see many people that were said to be Mashiach ben Yosef, that they were actually from the family of David HaMelech. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody a descendant of Yosef. First of all, the whole idea of Mashiach ben Yosef is just one line in the Gemara. Not everybody agrees with this idea.
Could be the same person?
Could be. Very possible. All right?
Zera David and Nishmat Yosef.
Yeah. I see it. I feel it. All right, let's finish up. אבל לעתיד לבוא אחר התחייה, יבואו נשמות חדשות יותר מעולות שהן מעולם האצילות. זאת אומרת, after the תחייה, נשמות from עולם האצילות are gonna come, after the תחייה. Okay? Those are very מעולות. והם מבחינת הנשמה דאצילות שהיה לאדם הראשון, and they're from the נשמה of אצילוס, שהיה לאדם הראשון, הנקראת בשם זיהרה אילאה, or זוהר. צוהר תעשה לטבע. So what does that mean? Explaining it very quickly. So back to this thing of Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon has inside of him Atzilut, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, right? And Atzilut itself includes in it Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechiyah. So basically what he's saying is that Bizman HaTchiyah, what's considered nishamot from Olam HaAtzilut? Well, there's no nishamot from Atzilut today. Yeah, there is, but only from Nefesh and Ruach. You could have today. Adav Avihu, Yosef HaTzadik, right? With Ruach HaAtzilut. But Neshama Chaya Yechida will only be Acharei HaTchiyah. Okay? So these 2 is possible to come down.
And this tzaddikim?
They're
tzaddikim?
From Nefesh and Ruach? Yeah, Eliyahu Hanavi, Adav Avihu, Moshe Rabbeinu.
Now, if they are...
They don't necessarily have to be famous people.
They have to be tzaddikim, most likely.
Of course, they're from Olam HaAtzilut. These are people that even one small avera that they do, it's already considered to them like... Huh? No, that was just an example, I'm saying. But people today who, from Olam HaAtzilut, doesn't necessarily have to be famous people. People with hashpah. Not necessarily. David HaMelech was just nefesh of Asiyah.
Amazing.
To start with, then he reached Nefesh Atzilut.
There's two understandings, because if you're going to tell us that he's in one place, the Ari says explicitly, and almost explicitly, that he's Mishorish Kain, which that book that you got me, I sent you that message, Nevi Pardes Pachad Yitzhak. And so I was looking into David. First of all, yeah, Pachad Yitzhak. With all the Gilgulim, or the Nevi'im and the okay, the name of the book says over there Pachad Yitzhak. His name is Yitzhak Batzri. Right? Whatever. Yeah. The orange beige one, yeah. So it says over there. So I was looking. First of all, he doesn't even mention Zerubbabel at all. He doesn't say Nehemiah Zerubbabel, which is something that bothered me a lot. It's a Mefurash Gemara, but okay, whatever.
Could be he mentioned it
in the Torah one?
Maybe.
Why would he mention it there? He's not written inside the Torah. Okay, whatever. Lo Mishane.
Who's Neshama was he?
He was from Lavan.
So maybe he mentioned him the Lavan.
Okay, maybe. Alright, but that's what it said. That's understandable. Then he brings down David HaMelech, and he has such an arichus on David. And Mefurash in Sha'ar Hagilgulim in one place, and in Etz Hayim in one place. The David was Mishoresh Kain. And he totally ignores that. And he keeps saying David is the Adam Rishon, and David was a Neshama Yeshana. Some Neshamot, they didn't go to Kain and Hevel, they went straight to the Klippa. So Ari says in one place he was from Kain, David, another place he says he was a Neshama Yeshana, complete Neshama Yeshana. First time he came to this world. Now what's the problem? We learned whoever's from Neshama of Kain or Hevel could go up to Nefesh Ta'atzilut. But if you're an old Neshama, you could only have a Nefesh of Asiyah. So which one is he? Is he Nefesh? Is he a Kain? And Rav Shimon Agassi has a big arichos on it how to answer the stira, but it's a stira. So, but whatever.
What's Rav Shimon answer?
Huh?
What's Rav Shimon answer?
Rav Shimon Agassi says you have to learn in it. It's be'erech. It's relatively speaking. So what happens is there is olamot ba'ovi. Ovi is the partsufim. I always teach it to you. It's like a ladder, right? It starts from the top, ends at the bottom. But really, the partsufim don't work like that. There's partsufim that are in ba'ovi. I say ba'ovi.
In wideness?
Why? There's width, there's length and width. BDU. There's length and width, and then there's volume. Right? So too, partsufim elyonim. It's not one plane. There's length, width, and volume, right? So the partsufim are really in width, and they're all equal. And then in length, they also have a shiur koma from Atzilut to Bria. So there's Atzilut to Asiyah in width, but they're all equal. Asiyah, Yetzirah, Beria, Atzilut. Then inside each one of them, there is the going down like this, right? B'shiur koma. Okay? So you could say that David was from Shoresh Kain.
As in the main.
The main one. In Be'ovi, he was B'Shoresh Kain. But in Shoresh Kain, he was a Neshama Yeshana. It's like 2 pages he writes over there, trying to, I mean, there is Partsufim Ba'ovi, and then there is Partsufim Ba'orich. It's a known thing. I mean, you can't learn the Rashash without that. I will tell you one thing. That the Ari says that the only person that was promised never to come back in a Gilgul, that he finished everything, was David. In other places, he says also Daniel. But Daniel is not. It's Daniel is written in the Tanakh itself. That means Daniel, you're gonna wake up in Tchias Hameitim. Don't worry about it. You're good. But David is written explicitly in Sha'ar Hagilgulim. We're gonna get to it. God will. All right. So if a person was promised that he's never coming back in the Gilgul, basically means what? That he finished. How could you finish and say you're only an Asiyah? Something doesn't make sense.
Maybe he only stays with them. Like Rav Shasher.
Yeah, could be. And also could be that David was... there is another proof somewhere else that David was only a Nefesh Asiyah because he was crying to Hashem, Rabim omrim lenafshi en yushuata lo be'elohim sela. David was afraid somebody else will take his ruach.
But then maybe he got it still. He was also afraid.
Why was he afraid that somebody took his ruach? Because he's only a nefesh. Yeah, but besod, because he's only a nefesh. And we know that if you're a nefesh and you're a neshama yeshana and somebody else gets your ruach and he fixes more than you, who gets up in Tchias Hameitim? In that instance. the nefesh goes to the ruach over there. David was afraid he's not going to get up to Chet HaMetim. Then Hashem said, don't worry, you're good.
Maybe he was thinking, okay, so anyways, Hashem said you're good, so the question is...
But that's another proof that he was from nefesh asiyah. Because if you're from nefesh...
He was scared he's not going to get the ruach.
The atzilut. No, but the Ari, that doesn't say that if a person is nefesh the atzilut, he's not going to get. That's already... When we're dealing with atzilut, it's a totally different... Okay, we're getting off the topic over here, obviously. Alright? Let's stick to... There's a lot of arichos in this, but I'm just saying that the sefer itself is not... It's not a complete job, right? Also, Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu was Mishorish Kain. That's why he took the two Omot. That's why he took Leah and Rachel. That means Kain was supposed to have the extra wife. He was the Bechor. Now Yaakov he did take the extra sister.
Not by choice.
What do you mean not? So what? Who cares if it's by choice or not? Happens whatever. Hashem runs over. Listen, everybody reaches his tikkun at the end, no matter what we say, you know? We could daven, we could pray, we could do tears, but everything is going to reach to his place. Okay? Let's finish that paragraph. But what's Ziyara Ilaha? This is called Neshama Chaya Yechida. It's called Ziyara Ilaha Zohar. Now, another place, just don't get confused, this is also called Ziyara Ilaha. But Be'erech this, it's not Ziyara Ilaha. This is Ziyara Ilaha Be'erech Bia. Right. But this is the real Ziyara Ilaha, Neshama Chaya Yechida V'Atzilut, which is the Neshama of Mashiach. Right? He has to reveal the Yechidah. כמו שהתבאר בדרושים הבאים, זה מה שכתוב בספר הזוהר, פשוט פיקודי, שמיום שנחרב בית המקדש לא נכנסו נשמות בהיכל אהבה, and this is the meaning that it says in the Zohar from the day of the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, the neshama did not go up to a heichal called heichal ahava. What does that mean, heichal ahava? Sfirat HaChesed in Bia is called heichal ahava. So apparently neshamot chadashot have to go there first before coming down to this world. So when the Zohar says they haven't gone there, that means there is no neshamot chadashot. Or else they would have gone to heichal ahava.
Why ahava?
Why is it called ahava? The Zohar says in Peshut Bikudei that the Sfirot of Bia are not called Chesed, Givurah, Tiferet, Netzachot, Yisod. They're called Hechalot. For example, Keter Chochmah Binah is called Hechal Kodesh Kodashim. Chesed is called Hechal Ahava. Givurah is called Hechal Zchut. Tiferet is called Hechal Haratzon. Netzach and Hod, I believe, is called Hechal Noga. Hechal Noga and Etzem HaShamayim. Yesod and Malchut is one heichal called Livnat HaSapir.
Sapir?
Livnat HaSapir, yeah. Good? כי אלו החדשות, דפנים בפנים, מן עולם התפילות, לא נכנסו שם, אבל נשמות שמן ביאת החדשות, אפשר שיבואו אפילו בזמן הזה של אחר החורבן. There are נשמות חדשות from Bia, even today, אחר החורבן. אבל כל שאר נשמות הבאות בעולם, הן מאותן שהיו קרות בנשמת האדם הראשון, but all the נשמות that come, what is the common denominator, have to be from the נשמות in האדם הראשון, אחר אשר נברא אח באח, חזרו ונסו מנת פנים בפנים, והחזירו פנים בפנים, וניסי כל נשמות הישנות, הם באים ממנו. So we see that all the נשמות come from האדם הראשון, especially the נשמות ישנות. Why is he saying especially the neshamot yeshanot? Because these neshamot that are called chadashot, they're not considered that they were inside Adam HaRishon, even though they were in him. They did not partake in the Avera of Etz Hadat. Okay? We're going to end here. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.